Right now, not next year, not someday. Something historic is unfolding in the silver market.
While headlines chase stocks and politics, silver has quietly crossed a line that stood untouched for nearly half a century. A line most people believed could never be crossed again. Silver just moved past $65 an ounce. Let that sink in. This isn't a prediction. This isn't a theory.
This isn't
This is happening right now, and the most shocking part, almost no one is paying attention.
And the most shocking
For 45 years, the peak of
no one is
1980
paying
stood like a monument. The
For
Hunt
45
Brothers,
years,
$50
the peak
silver,
of 1980 stood like
a
a
once-in-a-lifetime event.
The Hunt Brothers,
Or so we were told.
$50 silver.
But what's
a
happening today
once-in-a-lifetime
makes
event.
1980 look small.
So we were told.
Controlled.
But what's happening
Artificial.
today makes
This
1980
time,
look
there's
small.
no single villain.
Controlled.
No billionaire cornering the market.
Artificial.
No easy lever
This
to pull
time,
to shut it
there's
down.
no single villain.
Instead,
no
the
billionaire
world
cornering
itself
the
is pulling
market.
silver
No
apart,
easy lever
ounce
to
by
pull
ounce.
to shut it down.
Solar energy.
Instead, the world
Electric
itself
vehicles.
is pulling silver apart.
Artificial intelligence.
Ounce by ounce.
Medical technology.
Solar energy. Electric
Industries that
vehicles.
cannot function without silver
Artificial
are consuming it
intelligence,
faster
medical
than it can be
technology.
replaced.
Industries
Vaults are
that
draining.
cannot function without
Inventories
silver
are vanishing.
are consuming it
And
faster
price
than it can be
is
replaced.
finally catching up
Vaults
to
are draining.
reality.
Inventories are vanishing. And price is finally catching up to reality. This isn't hype. It's a structural collision. And once you see what's driving it, you'll understand why this may only be the beginning. At first glance, $65 silver looks like just another price milestone, a number on a chart, a headline that flashes, then fades. But this move didn't come from hype. It came from pressure, silent, relentless, mathematical. For years, silver prices were held down by the illusion of abundance, futures contracts, paper ounces, promises stacked on promises. But underneath that paper world, something very real was happening. The physical metal was disappearing. Silver is not like gold. Gold is hoarded, stored, recycled endlessly. Silver is consumed. Once it's used in a solar cell, it doesn't come back. Once it's fused into a circuit board, it's gone. Once it's embedded into medical equipment,
it's lost forever. According to material
According
scientist
to
Dr. Robert
material
Friedland,
scientist Dr.
who studies
Robert
critical mineral
Friedland, who
depletion,
studies
silver
critical
behaves
mineral
less like a
depletion,
precious metal and
silver
more like
behaves
industrial
less like
fuel.
a precious
We
metal
are
and
burning
more like
silver,
industrial
he warned.
fuel.
And unlike oil,
We are
it does
burning
not
silver,
regenerate.
he warned.
Here's where the
And
numbers
unlike
get
oil, it
uncomfortable.
does not regenerate.
Low. Silver demand now exceeds
Here's where
1
the
billion
numbers
ounces
get
per year.
uncomfortable.
Global mine
silver
supply
demand
struggles
now
to reach
exceeds 1
830
billion
million
ounces
ounces.
per year.
That gap
Global mine
doesn't
supply
close.
struggles to
It
reach
widens.
830
For
million
5
ounces.
consecutive years,
That gap
demand
doesn't
has
close.
beaten
It
supply.
widens.
Not once,
For 5
not
consecutive
twice.
years, demand has
5
beaten
years
supply.
in a row. The
Not
cumulative
once,
shortfall.
Not twice. 5 years in a row. The cumulative shortfall, nearly 800 million ounces. To visualize that, that's enough silver to coat over 20 million acres of solar panels, enough to build electrical systems for every electric vehicle sold globally for a decade. And where did that missing silver come from? Inventories, vaults, strategic reserves quietly drained to keep the system running. Now here's the part most people miss. Silver prices didn't rise first. The shortage came first. According to metals analyst Ross Norman,
price is always the last signal. Markets deny scarcity until they physically cannot anymore. That moment arrived when delivery timelines
stretched, when lease rates spiked, when industrial buyers started competing with investors for the same ounces. Silver lease rates briefly surged above 30% annually. In normal markets, they sit near zero.
That's not speculation.
That's a distress signal. It's like oxygen prices rising in a hospital. You don't argue about charts. You look for air. At $65, silver didn't break out.
At $65,
It broke
silver
through,
didn't break out.
Through artificial
It
ceilings.
broke
through paper
through
suppression.
artificial ceilings.
Through decades of
through paper
mispricing.
suppression. Through
And here's the
decades of
chilling part.
mispricing.
This price
and here's
didn't
the
arrive
chilling
during
part
panic,
too.
or
This price
recession,
didn't arrive during
or war
panic
escalation.
or recession.
It arrived during
or
normal
war
operations.
escalation. It
Which
arrived
raises
during
a
normal
dangerous
operations,
question.
which
If silver
raises
hit
a dangerous question.
$65 before the real crisis, what happens when the next supply shock hits? Because the system isn't tightening anymore. It's emptying. And once the last buffer is gone, price no longer moves gradually. It jumps. That's the stage silver just entered. And the next phase? It doesn't ask permission. If this was caused by quiet shortages, wait until governments step in. Every silver rally gets compared to 1980, every single one.
Every silver rally gets compared to 1980, every single one.
It's the ghost story markets tell themselves to stay comfortable.
The crash.
But here's the truth.
It's the ghost story markets tell themselves to stay comfortable.
2025 is
but
not
here's
a
the
repeat
truth
of
most people
1980.
don't want to hear.
Not even close.
2025 is
In
not a repeat of
1980,
1980.
silver was pushed higher
Not
by
even
two
close.
men.
In
Two oil
1980,
billionaires
silver
betting
was
against
pushed higher by
inflation.
two men.
They bought
Two
aggressively,
oil
they
billionaires
borrowed
betting
heavily,
against inflation.
and they tried to
They
corner
bought
the market.
aggressively.
That
They
made silver vulnerable.
borrowed heavily.
Because
and they tried
when
to
the
corner
rules
the market.
changed, the game ended.
That made silver vulnerable.
Exchanges raised margin
because when the rules
requirements
changed,
overnight.
the game
Buying was
ended.
restricted.
The exchanges
Liquidation was
raised margin
forced.
requirements
Silver
overnight.
collapsed not because
Buying was
demand
restricted.
vanished, but because
Liquidation
authority
was
intervened.
forced. Silver
Economist
collapsed not
Dr.
because
Milton
demand
Friedman
vanished,
later
but
summarized
because
it bluntly.
authority intervened.
That wasn't a free market collapse.
Economist
It was
Dr.
a
Milton
regulatory
Friedman
event.
later summarized it
Now
bluntly.
fast forward
That
to 2025.
wasn't a free market
Who's driving
collapse.
silver today?
It was a regulatory
Not two
event.
brothers, not
Now
hedge funds,
fast forward to
not social media
2025.
traders. It's
Who's
infrastructure.
driving silver today?
Solar manufacturers.
Not two
electric vehicle
brothers.
supply chains,
Not hedge
data
funds.
centers, medical
Not
technology
social media
firms,
traders.
defense contractors.
It's infrastructure.
These buyers aren't
Solar
speculating.
manufacturers.
They're consuming.
Electric vehicle supply
They don't
chains.
buy silver hoping
Data
to sell it
centers.
higher.
Medical
they buy
technology
silver
firms.
because without it,
Defense
production
contractors.
stops.
These buyers
In
aren't
1980,
speculating.
silver sat in
They're
vaults.
consuming.
In
They
2025,
don't buy
silver
silver
is
hoping to
embedded in
sell it higher.
machines.
They
That
buy
simple
silver
difference
because
changes
without
everything.
it, production stops.
According to historian
In
and
1980,
commodities expert
silver
Niall
sat in
Ferguson,
vaults. In
market crashes
2025,
require
silver
one
is
key
embedded in
condition.
machines. That
Supply
single
must
difference
be able
changes
to return to
everything.
market.
According to
In
historian and
1980,
commodities
it
expert
could.
Niall Ferguson,
Hoarded silver
market crashes
flooded back
require
when
one
prices
key
fell.
condition. Supply
Today,
must be able to
that
return to
silver is
market.
gone.
In
Recycled
1980,
silver
it
recovers
could.
less than
Hoarded silver
20%
flooded back
of
when prices
industrial
fell.
usage.
Today,
The rest is unrecoverable
that silver
at scale,
is gone.
which means no matter how high
Recycled silver
prices go,
recovers less than 20% of
supply does
industrial
not
usage.
surge back.
The rest is
And
unrecoverable
here's
at
the most
scale.
overlooked difference
Which means
of all.
no matter how high prices
Government
go,
posture has
supply
flipped.
does not
In
surge back.
1980, regulators
And here's
viewed
the most
silver as a
overlooked
threat,
difference of all.
a destabilizing
Government posture
asset,
has flipped.
something to suppress.
In 1980, regulators
In
viewed silver as a
2025,
threat.
governments view
A
silver as
destabilizing
strategic.
asset.
The United
Something to
States
suppress.
officially classified
In
silver as a
2025,
critical mineral.
governments view silver
That puts it
as
in the
strategic.
same category as
The
uranium
United
and rare
States
earths.
officially classified silver
Translation?
as a critical mineral.
Silver is no longer an
That
enemy.
puts it in the
It's an
same
asset to
category as
secure.
uranium and rare earths.
Material scientist Dr.
Translation,
Simon Michaud
silver
warns
is no
that
longer an enemy.
electrification targets
It's
cannot
an
be
asset
met
to
without
secure.
silver at current availability
Material
levels.
scientist Dr. Simon Michaud
The math
warns that
doesn't
electrification
close,
targets
he says.
cannot be met
Not
without
without
silver
price
at current
repricing demand.
availability levels. The
In
math
other words,
doesn't close.
higher prices
He says,
aren't a bug.
not
They're a
without
signal.
price repricing
In
demand.
1980,
In other
the
words,
rally was
higher
optional.
prices aren't a
In
bug.
2025,
They're a
the
signal.
demand is mandatory.
In 1980,
That's why
the rally was
comparisons
optional.
fail.
In
That's why
2025,
suppression
the demand
mechanisms
is
don't work the
mandatory.
same way.
That's
You
why
can ban
comparisons
buying,
fail.
but you can't ban consumption.
That's why suppression
Once a
mechanisms
commodity
don't work the
becomes
same way.
essential to national
You can
infrastructure,
ban buying, font,
price stops
but you
being
can't ban
negotiable.
consumption.
It becomes
A nonce.
consequential.
A commodity
So,
becomes
when
essential
critics
to
say,
national infrastructure.
This looks like
Price
1980
stops
all
being
over
negotiable.
again. They're
It
missing
becomes
the most
consequential.
important detail.
So when
In
critics say,
1980,
this looks
silver
like
was
1980 all
cornered.
over
In
again,
2025,
they're missing the
silver
most
is required.
important detail.
And required
In
commodities
1980,
don't crash
silver
easily.
was cornered.
They ration. They
In
reprice.
2025,
They
silver
reset
is
entire
required.
systems.
And required
And the
commodities
industries
don't crash
forcing this
easily.
reset
They ration.
are
They
only
reprice.
accelerating.
They reset entire
For most of
systems.
history, silver
And
was
the industries
stored.
forcing this
Coins,
reset
jewelry,
are only
vaults,
accelerating.
heirlooms. Today,
For most of
silver
history,
is used
silver was stored,
quietly,
coins,
permanently,
jewelry, vaults,
irreversibly.
heirlooms.
This is the single
Today,
most important
silver is
shift in the
used
silver
quietly,
story.
permanently,
And almost
irreversibly.
no one talks about it.
This is the single most
Silver is
important
no
shift in the
longer
silver
just a
story,
metal.
and almost
It's
no one talks
infrastructure.
about it. Silver
According to
is no
physicist
longer just a
Dr.
metal,
Jeff
this
Newman,
infrastructure.
silver is the
According
most
to physicist
electrically
Dr. Jeff
conductive
Newman,
element known
silver
to
is the most
science.
electrically
Not
conductive
one of the
element known
best.
to science.
The best.
Not one of the best.
That property makes it
The
irreplaceable
best.
in systems where efficiency, heat control, and signal precision matter. And modern civilization now depends on those systems. Let's start with solar energy.
Let's start with
Every
solar energy.
photovoltaic cell requires
silver paste to move electrons generated by
by
sunlight. Without silver,
Without
the
silver,
circuit fails.
the circuit fails.
Period.
Period. In 2015,
In 2015,
solar consumed roughly 40 million ounces of silver
per year.
By
By
2025,
that number crossed 200 million ounces.
That's a
That's a
5x
increase in less than a decade. And the irony?
Newer, more efficient solar technologies
technologies actually use more silver, not less.
Topcon and heterojunction cells require up to 50% more silver per panel to achieve higher efficiency. Engineers have tried
They've
to
hit a
reduce
wall.
usage for years. They've hit a
Materials
wall.
scientist Dr. Michael
Materials
Gretzel, a
scientist
pioneer in
Dr. Michael
photovoltaic
Gretzel,
chemistry.
a
Put it
pioneer
simply,
in photovoltaic chemistry.
there is no
Put it
substitute that
simply,
performs like silver
there is
at
no
scale.
substitute that
Now
performs
add
like
electric
silver
vehicles.
at scale. Now
A
add
gasoline
electric
car
vehicles.
uses around
A
15 to
gasoline
28
car
grams of
uses around
silver.
15,
An electric
28
vehicle uses
grams of
25 to
silver.
50
An
grams.
electric vehicle uses
Why?
25
Battery
to 50
management
grams.
systems.
Why?
Power
Battery
inverters,
management
charging
systems,
ports,
power
thermal
inverters,
controls.
charging
In
ports,
2025,
thermal
global EV
controls.
production crossed 20 million
In
units.
2025,
At just 30
global
grams
EV
per vehicle,
production
that's
crossed
600
20
metric
million
tons of
units.
silver annually.
At just
And
30
that's only the
grams per
cars.
vehicle.
Charging
That's
infrastructure
600
uses
metric
even
tons
more.
of silver annually.
Fast chargers
And that's
require
only the
heavy-duty
cars.
silver
Charging
contacts to prevent
infrastructure uses
overheating.
even more.
Multiply that by
Fast
millions of chargers
require
worldwide.
heavy-duty silver contacts
Then comes
to
the
prevent
invisible layer,
overheating.
AI and data
Multiply
centers.
that by millions of chargers
Every server rack
worldwide.
contains silver-coated
Then
contacts.
comes the invisible layer, AI and data centers. Every server rack
Global
contains
data center
silver-coated
power
contacts.
capacity has
Every
surged from
switch,
under 1
relay, and
gigawatt in
processor
2000
relies
to
on
nearly
it.
50 gigawatts
Global
today.
data center power
That's
capacity
a
has
50
surged
increase
from
in
under
hardware
1
density.
gigawatt in 2000
According to
nearly
electrical
50
engineer Dr. Mark
gigawatts
Mills,
today.
digital
That's
systems
a
don't
50x
dematerialize
increase
demand.
in hardware
They
density.
concentrate it.
According to
And
electrical
healthcare.
engineer Dr. Mark Mills,
Silver's
digital digital
antimicrobial
systems
properties
don't
make it
dematerialize
indispensable.
demand, they
Wound
concentrate it.
dressings.
In healthcare, silver's antimicrobial properties make it indispensable. Wound dressings, catheters, surgical tools. The silver nanoparticle market alone is projected to triple by 2033. Here's the
None of these industries can pause.
None of these
None
industries
can
can
substitute
pause.
at scale.
None can substitute at
None
scale.
can wait.
None can wait. Silver
demand
isn't cyclical anymore.
It's
structural.
And once a material becomes embedded into civilization's backbone, price
backbone,
stops being a suggestion.
Price stops being a suggestion.
It becomes a constraint.
It becomes a constraint.
And while demand races ahead, supply is standing still.
Shortages don't announce
themselves.
They don't arrive with
They
headlines
don't arrive with headlines or alarms. They creep in slowly, hidden behind spreadsheets, reports, and optimistic forecasts. And by the time the public notices,
for silver,
the metal is
that
already
moment has
gone.
arrived.
For silver,
Since
that moment
2020,
has
the
arrived.
silver market has run a
Since
persistent
2020, the
structural
silver
deficit.
market has run a
Not
persistent
one-off
structural
shortfall,
deficit,
not a
not
temporary
a one-off
imbalance,
shortfall,
a 5-year
not a
stretch
temporary
where demand
imbalance, a 5-year stretch
consistently
where demand
exceeded
consistently exceeded
According
supply.
to consolidated
According to
industry data,
consolidated industry
global
data,
silver demand has
global
averaged
silver demand has
1.05
averaged
to
1.05 to 1.1 billion ounces per
while
year.
mine supply plus
While mine
recycling
supply
has
plus
struggled to break
recycling
900
has struggled to break
million
900 million ounces.
That leaves a gap of
150 to 200 million ounces annually. Multiply that over 5 years,
and you're staring at a
cumulative drain approaching 800
million
million ounces.
That silver didn't
silver
vanish.
didn't
It was
vanish.
withdrawn.
It was withdrawn,
pulled from above ground
stockpiles that were built over decades when silver demand was slower and more predictable. Here's the problem. Those stockpiles were never designed to support modern consumption rates. Silver mining doesn't respond quickly to price signals.
It's mostly a
byproduct metal extracted during copper, zinc, and lead production. Only about 25 to 30% of global silver output comes from primary silver mines, which means even if silver prices double, miners don't instantly produce more silver. They produce what base metal economics allow. According to mining engineer Dr. Brent Cook, silver is hostage to other metals. Its supply curve is rigid. The rigidity is now colliding with relentless demand. Meanwhile, exploration has collapsed. Since 2013, silver exploration budgets have fallen by over 70% in real terms.
Since 2013,
Major
silver
discoveries,
exploration budgets
rare
have fallen
heat-grade
by over
deposits,
70%
declining.
in
The
real
average
terms.
silver or
Major
grade has dropped more than
discoveries?
30%
Rare.
in the last 2
High-grade
decades.
deposits?
Lower grades
Declining.
mean higher costs,
The average
higher
silver ore
energy
grade
use,
has dropped more
longer
than 30%
development time from
in the last
discovery
2
to
decades.
production. A new
Lower
mine can
grades
take
mean
10 to
higher
15
costs,
years.
higher energy
So
use,
even if prices
longer
scream today,
development timelines.
new supply
From
won't
discovery
arrive
to
until the
production,
2030s.
a new mine can take
That
10 to
leaves
15
one remaining
years.
buffer,
So even if
inventories.
prices scream
And those
today,
buffers are thinning.
new supply won't arrive
Visible
until the
exchange stocks
2030s.
have declined sharply.
That leaves one remaining
Unreported
buffer,
private inventories have been
inventories.
quietly tapped.
And those buffers
Industrial
are thinning.
users now maintain
Visible
minimal
exchange
working stock
stocks
to
have
reduce
declined
capital
sharply.
costs. Just-in-time
Unreported
inventory
private
works.
inventories have been quietly
Until it
tapped.
doesn't, when one
Industrial
factory
users now
hoards an
maintain
extra month of
minimal
silver,
working stock to
nothing
reduce
breaks.
capital costs.
When thousands do it at
Just-in-time
once,
inventory
the
works.
system locks up.
Until it doesn't.
That's when prices stop
When one
moving in
factory hoards an
cents
extra month of
and
silver,
start moving in
nothing
dollars.
breaks. When
This is
thousands
why
do it at
silver
once,
didn't
the system
explode
locks up.
overnight.
That's when
It
prices
drained
stop
first,
moving in cents
silently,
and start moving in dollars.
methodically.
This
And
is why
now
silver
the
didn't
cushion is
explode
gone.
overnight. It
What
drained
you're
first,
seeing in price
silently,
is not
methodically.
excitement. It's
Now
replacement
the
cost
cushion is
discovery.
gone.
The market
What
is
you're
waking up
seeing
to
in
a
price
simple
is
truth.
not
The
excitement.
silver that kept prices
It's
low for
replacement cost
years
discovery.
has already
The
been
market
spent.
is waking up to a simple truth.
And when governments
The
realize
silver
what's
that
left,
kept
they
prices
don't
low
compete
for
like
years
investors.
has already been
Holiday.
spent. And when governments
For
realize
decades,
what's left,
silver was
they
treated
don't
as a
compete
relic,
like investors.
a legacy metal.
For decades,
Something markets
silver
could
was treated
suppress,
as a
ignore,
relic,
or
a
delay.
legacy metal.
That era
Something markets
is
could
over.
suppress, ignore,
Quietly,
or delay.
without public
That
debate.
era is over.
Governments around the
Quietly,
world have
without public
reclassified
debate,
silver's role not
governments
as a
around the
monetary
world
asset,
have
but as a
reclassified
strategic
silver's
resource.
Not
And
as a
that
monetary
changes
asset,
everything.
but as a
Policy
strategic
documents.
resource.
Silver now appears
And that
alongside
changes
lithium,
everything.
cobalt,
In
and
policy
rare earths
documents,
materials deemed
silver now
essential for
appears
national
alongside
security,
lithium,
energy
cobalt,
transition,
and rare
and
earths.
technological dominance.
Materials deemed essential
Why?
for national security.
Because modern power
energy
doesn't run on
transition,
oil
and
alone anymore.
technological dominance.
It runs on electrons.
Why? Because
And silver controls
modern power
electrons
doesn't
better
run
than
on
any
oil
other
alone
element on
anymore.
Earth.
It runs on electrons.
Defense systems rely on
And silver
silver-coated
controls
connectors
electrons
for
better than
reliability
any
under
other
extreme
element
heat and
on Earth.
vibration.
Defense
Radar
systems rely on
arrays,
silver-coated
missile
connectors
guidance,
for reliability
secure
under extreme
communications.
heat and vibration.
In these systems,
Radar arrays,
failure isn't
missile
expensive,
guidance,
it's
secure
catastrophic.
communications.
According to defense materials
In these
expert
systems,
Dr. Andrew Erickson,
failure isn't
there is no
expensive,
tolerance for
it's
substitution in
catastrophic.
mission-critical electronics.
According to defense
That makes
materials
silver
expert
non-negotiable.
Dr.
Now,
Andrew
add energy
Erickson,
security.
there is no
Solar grids,
tolerance for substitution
smart
in
transformers,
mission-critical electronics.
high-voltage switching
That
equipment.
makes silver non-negotiable.
Governments can't
Now
electrify
add
nations
energy
without
security,
silver, and
solar
they know
grids,
it.
smart transformers,
That's why strategic
high-voltage
stockpiling has
switching
begun.
equipment. Governments
Not announced,
can't electrify
not
nations without
advertised,
silver.
but visible
And they
in
know it.
procurement data,
That's why
import
strategic
patterns,
stockpiling
and
has
classified
begun.
mineral strategies.
Not announced, not
When governments buy
advertised,
silver,
but
they
visible
don't
in
speculate.
procurement data,
They
import
remove it from
patterns, and
circulation.
classified
Then
mineral
silver doesn't
strategies.
come back to market
When
during price
governments buy
dips.
silver,
It
they
doesn't
don't
respond to
speculate.
volatility.
They remove
It
it from
disappears.
circulation. That
And
silver
here's the
doesn't
most
come back to
important
market
shift.
during price dips.
In the past,
It doesn't
governments
respond to
suppressed silver
volatility.
prices to maintain
It
confidence in
disappears.
fiat systems.
And here's the most
Today,
important shift.
suppressing silver
In
would
the past,
undermine their own
governments
infrastructure
suppressed
goals.
silver prices
Higher
to
silver
maintain
prices
confidence
encourage
in fiat
recycling,
systems.
exploration,
Today,
and supply
suppressing
security.
silver would
Low
undermine
prices
their own
discourage all
infrastructure
three.
goals.
In other
Higher
words,
silver
price
prices
suppression is now
encourage recycling,
counterproductive.
exploration, and
Energy
supply
analyst
security.
Dr. Vaclav
Low
Smil has
prices
warned
discourage
repeatedly
all
that
three.
energy
In
transitions
other words,
fail, not
price
because of
suppression
demand,
is now
but because of
counterproductive.
material constraints.
Energy analyst
You cannot
Dr.
mandate
Vaclav
physics,
Smil
he writes.
has warned repeatedly
Materials
that
set
energy
the limits.
transitions fail not
Silver
because
is
of
one of
demand,
those limits.
but because of material constraints.
And when a material becomes a
You
national
cannot mandate
constraint,
physics,
governments
he writes.
don't fight the price.
Materials set the
They
limits.
plan around it.
Silver is one
That
of those
planning
limits.
creates a floor under
And when a
demand that
material
markets
becomes a
can't
national
erase.
constraint, governments don't
Investors
fight the
panic
price.
seal.
They plan around
Governments
it.
don't.
That planning creates
They
a floor under
accumulate.
demand that markets
They lock
can't
in long-term
erase.
supply agreements.
Investors panic
They
sell.
prioritize
Governments
access.
don't. They
This
accumulate.
is why silver
They lock
volatility
in
now
long-term
looks
supply
different.
agreements. They
Dips are
prioritize
shallow.
access.
Recoveries
This is why
are
silver
fast.
volatility now looks
Not because
different.
of speculation,
Dips are
but because
shallow.
strategic
Recoveries
buyers
are
step
fast.
in. This
Not because
isn't
of
a free market
speculation,
anymore.
but
It's
because
a resource
strategic buyers
security
step
market.
in. This
and
isn't
history
a free
shows
market
what happens
anymore.
next.
It's a resource
When
security
governments
market.
compete for the same
And history
finite
shows what
resource,
happens next.
prices don't
When
collapse.
governments
They
compete for the
escalate.
same finite
They
resource,
stabilize
prices
higher.
don't collapse.
They reset
escalate.
expectations.
They stabilize higher.
Silver
They reset
has crossed that
expectations.
threshold.
Silver has
It's no
crossed
longer
that
just a
threshold.
metal you trade.
It's no longer just a metal
Today,
you trade.
material nations
It's a
depend on.
material nations depend
And once
on.
a resource
And
becomes
once a
strategic,
resource becomes
the repricing
strategic,
doesn't happen once.
The repricing doesn't
Markets
happen
move in
once.
phases.
Markets
First
move
comes
in
denial,
phases.
then
First comes
acceptance,
denial,
and
then
finally
acceptance.
reset.
And finally,
Silver has
reset.
already passed the first two.
Silver has already passed
4
the first
years,
two.
prices stayed
For
low
years,
while
prices
deficits
stayed
grew.
low while deficits
Analysts
grew.
dismiss shortages as
Analysts
temporary.
dismiss shortages as
Industrial demand
temporary.
was expected to
Industrial
optimize away
demand was
silver
expected
usage.
to optimize
That
away
never
silver
happened.
usage.
Now
That
the
never
market
happened.
has accepted
Now
the
the market
shortage.
has accepted the shortage.
What comes next
What comes
isn't a
next
spike.
isn't a spike.
It's a permanent
repricing.
adjustment to a
A
world
permanent
where silver is
adjustment
no
to a
longer
world where
abundant,
silver
no
is
longer
no longer
cheap,
abundant,
and no
no
longer
longer
optional.
cheap, and no longer
Here's the key
optional.
misunderstanding.
Here's the key
People assume
misunderstanding.
commodity prices rise
People
until
assume
supply
commodity
increases,
prices
then
rise
fall
until
back to normal.
supply increases,
But that only
then fall
works
back
when
to
supply
normal.
can respond.
But that only works when
Silver
supply
can't.
can
As
respond.
we've seen, most silver is a
can't.
byproduct.
As we've
New mines
seen,
take a decade
most
or
silver
more.
is a byproduct.
Ore grades are falling.
New mines take a
Recycling
decade or more.
recovers only a
Ore
fraction of
grades
what's
are falling.
consumed.
Recycling
So,
recovers
instead of
only
supply
a
adjusting
fraction of
upward,
what's consumed.
price adjusts
So
demand
instead of
downward.
supply adjusting
That's
upward,
how structural markets
price
clear.
adjusts demand downward.
Energy economist
That's
Dr.
how
Philip
structural
Verliger
markets
describes
clear.
this as demand
Energy
rationing
economist
through
Dr.
price.
Philip Verliger
When
describes
prices
this
rise
as
enough,
demand
non-essential
rationing
uses
through
disappear.
price.
Marginal
When
projects
prices
are
rise
delayed,
enough,
and only the
non-essential
highest value
uses
applications
disappear.
remain.
Marginal
That's
projects
not
are
a bubble.
delayed,
Flour,
and only
that's
the
a
highest
reset.
value applications
Now
remain.
layer in
That's
monetary
not a bubble.
dynamics.
That's a reset.
Silver has always
Now
lived in the
layer
shadow of
in
gold,
monetary
but
dynamics.
historically, when monetary
Silver has
confidence
always
weakens,
lived in the shadow
silver
of
moves
gold.
faster.
But
The gold-silver
historically,
ratio has
when
averaged
monetary
60 to 1
confidence
over the
weakens,
last century.
silver moves faster.
During periods of stress,
The gold-silver
it
ratio
compresses
has averaged
dramatically.
60.1
At
over
current
the
levels,
last
even a
century.
conservative reversion
During periods
implies
of
silver
stress,
prices
it
far above
compresses
historical
dramatically.
norms.
At current levels, even a conservative reversion implies silver prices far above historical norms. And unlike past cycles, silver now carries dual demand: monetary hedge, industrial necessity. The combination is rare and explosive. Then there's the investment pipeline. Pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, and insurance portfolios are only now beginning to view silver as infrastructure exposure rather than speculation.
It becomes sticky
Once
capital.
an asset enters that
And
allocation
sticky capital
framework,
raises floors.
it doesn't exit easily.
This is why
It becomes
volatility
sticky
doesn't mean
capital,
collapse anymore.
and sticky capital
Corrections
raises
happen,
floors.
they always do.
This is
But
why
each one
volatility
establishes a
doesn't mean
higher
collapse
base.
anymore.
That's the signature of
Corrections
repricing,
happen, they
not
always do.
mania.
But each one establishes a higher base. That's the signature of repricing, not mania.
Back to what?
The most dangerous
Cheap
assumption
energy
right now
metals.
is believing silver will go back to where it was.
Idle
Back to what?
demand.
Cheap
That world
energy
is
metals,
gone.
surplus
Silver's
inventories,
role
idle
has
demand.
changed.
That world
Its
is gone.
scarcity is real.
Silver's role
Its
has
demand
changed.
is non-negotiable,
Its scarcity is real.
which means the
Its
next
demand
phase
is
isn't about how
non-negotiable,
high silver can
which
spike.
means the next
It's about
phase
where it settles.
isn't about how high
And once
silver
the market
can
answers
spike.
that question,
It's about where it settles.
the old price
Once
levels
the
won't
market
matter
answers that
anymore.
question,
They'll look
the old
like
price
history.
levels won't matter anymore.
By the time
They'll
something
look
becomes
like
obvious,
history.
the opportunity
By
is
the
already
time
gone.
something becomes
Silver
obvious,
doesn't move when everyone
the
agrees.
opportunity is already gone.
It moves when
Silver
pressure
doesn't move
becomes
when everyone
unavoidable.
agrees. It moves
What
when
you've
pressure
just seen
becomes
isn't a
unavoidable.
prediction.
What you've
It's
just
a pattern.
seen isn't a prediction.
A market
It's a pattern.
drained quietly.
A market
a
drained
meadow
quietly.
pulled into infrastructure.
A metal pulled into
A
infrastructure.
resource governments now
A
treat as
resource
strategic.
governments
Most
now
people
treat
will
as
only
strategic.
notice silver after the
Most
next
people
price
will
shock.
only notice silver after
After
the
the
next price
headlines.
shock.
After
the headlines.
access tightens.
After access tightens.
But history never
But
rewards
history never
late
rewards
awareness.
late awareness.
So here's the
So
real
here's the
question.
real
Not
question.
what silver will do
Not
next.
what silver will do next,
But what you'll do
but what
before
you'll
it
do
does.
before it does.
If this
If
breakdown changed how you see silver, make sure you're part of the conversation before the reset is complete. Subscribe to stay ahead of the moves they don't explain on the news. Like this video so it reaches others who are still paying attention. Comment one word. Prepared if you're watching this early. Because when markets reprice permanently, they don't send
Because when
reminders.
markets
They
reprice
just move.
permanently,
And the
they
ones
don't
who
send
understood
reminders.
first
They
are
just
never the
move.
ones
And the ones
scrambling
who understood
later.
first are never the ones
Stay
scrambling
alert.
later.
Stay
alert.
informed.
Stay informed.
And we'll see you before the next
shift.
shift.